As I said, you must get to know the hardware of the. So you can see the four ones. The two is light source, one is the chimera, other is light source, suction port. The suction port is this one. The suction port is the one that matters in therapeutic and diagnostic bronchoscopies. The bigger the therapeutic channel, better will be your suction capability actually. Because sometimes you will find thick mucopurulent plaques which you will not be able to remove at all with your smaller channels. The smaller the bronchoscope in olden days, the smaller used to be the channel. Now they have changed, the Olympus have changed their distinct models now. The smaller bronchoscopes get bigger channels. That means the introduction, that is the diameter of the outer diameter of the bronchoscope is big, you will have difficulty in entering the nose. Okay, so that's why when we start our bronchoscopies, including me, we bought the 4.9 millimeter channel. Now you have bronchoscopies from 2.8 to 6.2 millimeter channels. Now once you grow big in your resting stature, or we think you can do a better bronchoscopies, go for a bigger channel bronchoscopy. Now what they have done is to make things easier for us. In a smaller bronchoscope, the 5.2 millimeter diameter, you have a 2.8 millimeter bigger channels you are getting. The channels are becoming bigger and bigger. So that is with a small bronchoscope you will be able to do. So this is the most important. The whole bundles are lying in this only. Fiber optic bundles actually. This is a fiber optic scope, not a fiber optic bronchoscope, because the whole thing, there are fibers in this also, there are fibers in this also. It's a fiber optic scope which we use it. In that, the most important part is now you switch on the light. Yeah. If you switch on the light, you see the light. These two are the lights. These two lights, what they do is, because of the fiber optics inside, the image is multiplied several times. What is seen as a small image in the bronchoscope, it multiplies it several times and it shows you on the monitor, which we can do. So in this, we have what are called narrowband imaging bronchoscopes, high definition bronchoscopes. A lot of newer. Narrowband imaging bronchoscope means the usual mucosa looks red, light red, congested. If it is a narrowband imaging bronchoscope, if there is malignancy inside, there are multiple vessels in the lung. So that will be shown separately in a high definition or a narrowband imaging. So that it helps you take the bronchoscopies in the focused areas. As I said, the biggest worry for a bronchoscopist is a negative report. Not able to do the bronchoscope, not a hemoptysis, because if you have a hemoptysis, you can send him to critical care unit and then handle it. So you must be sure that you must get a diagnostic, some diagnostic listing in your bronchoscopy procedure. So in that respect, this you must. Your channel is important, your source, light source is very important, and also your camera is very important. That they are the one that shows up. Okay. Next part is the. What's most important is how you use, what are the movements that you have in the bronchoscope. The main movements are the forward movement and the backward movement. Right? When you go inside the nose, you get some block there, you come backwards, and then get inside wherever you find least resistance. In that respect, you must put more jelly into that. If you put more jelly into that, your bronchoscope will slip inside very easily. So one forward and backward movement. The second is the lever, which will help you. You can do this 140 movement, and above if you take, it is a 180 movement. You can go up to 180 degrees in this movement. You can go up to 140 degrees in this movement. So the lever is the one that helps you. So the forward movement and the back movement. And then the next movements are your bronchoscope must turn. Unlike an endoscope, people who are known about the endoscopy, what happens is you have two channels. One channel is with this you can move up and down. Another you can lock it and turn this side and that side. Whereas in bronchoscope you don't have that luxury. In bronchoscope you have a forward movement and a backward movement, and you have a lever that is 140 and 180. Which means if you go into the carina, up to the carina if you go, you need to turn means you must use the wrist only. You must use the wrist only. So why I am telling this is bronchoscopy is a wrist procedure. You must use your wrist quite extensively well to see it. Because you go to the carina, you turn this side, you go to the left side, turn this side, you go to the right side. You should not use your shoulder to do that. This is not a shoulder procedure. Okay? And also it is not an elbow procedure. You should not use your elbow procedure. No. The style has to be there in a pulmonology doing a bronchoscopy. I mean, go in, take a wrist movement. Do your wrist movement. So, wrist movement is an important procedure. So, there are three important movements as I said. One is a forward and a backward movement. Two is this and this. Because this you will use it, turn it and move it. We can also have one more fiber into that. There are now the later generation. Apollo, we have later generation bronchoscope where after I enter, I use this button. There is a small button which I have introduced. And if I turn it, the bronchoscope will turn this side. Even though you cannot fix it, it will turn. When it turns, you can also turn your wrist a bit and then take the bites from there. Because the larger the bundle inside, more will be the bulkier will be the bronchoscope. So the bulkier the bronchoscope, difficult for you to get inside because the movement will be a bit tough if you have a bulkier bronchoscope. Okay, so the movements are very important. And the most vulnerable part of the bronchoscope is this part. This part is the most vulnerable. You must keep it as much straight as possible. You should not bend like this. You should not, because if you bend, the whole fibers are here because the whole image comes here and from there it gets reflected onto that. So this is the most vulnerable part. You must take care about it. Keep the bronchoscope as much straight as possible because tomorrow when you become teachers, you have to train your students. So on every alternative, if you keep using the bronchoscope, government hospital they won't buy, If it is bad means it's gone, that's all. You must send it outside only. So you must take care of your bronchoscope. So you must tell your postgraduate, the most vulnerable part is this part, and this part you must take care of it. Keep it as much straight as possible. Doesn't mean you must keep it straight like that and do the bronchoscope, reviewing it. So you must have sufficient space between that. So if one is very tall, means you can get closer and then go inside and have a look. If you are a slightly shorter one, just go in. That is, the point is to see that you should not bend like this. You must keep it as much straight as bronchoscope as straight as possible. I tell my postgraduates, keep it on your shoulder. I always tell them, keep it on your shoulder so that it is as much straight as possible. It is in the form of a bow. Just go inside and just get in. Okay, so it must be as straight as possible. Then come to the ports and channels. Very, very important. So channel means only one. We have two ports here. The two ports are, one is an instrument port, other is a suction port. So these two are kept differently. In our days, in younger days, what used to happen was both used to be a single port only. So when it's a single port, what happens? You have to use both. You know some of the pediatric bronchoscopes are like that only. The suction port and the instrument port are the same only. But now they are separated. For a simple reason, in olden days, we never had this luxury of this bronchoscope. You can all were seeing like this. I have also seen like this and done the bronchoscopy only for a fairly long period. But what happens when you do like this, when you have both suction and the channel ports in one, this and this in one, what happens is, so imagine the patient has got an active TB or a PCP, and the patient coughs, the whole thing will come not through you're not worried about this. Your bronchoscope is inside, Concentrated sample will come into your eyes directly. That's why we used to wear goggles those days. We were wearing goggles to protect our eyes. But now with the video system, what they did, because of that reason, they separated the suction port and the channel port. So both are two separate ports. So that now, of course, the video system is there. But still there are people who use this also. But now that there's a video system is there, in the video system, it doesn't make a big deal. You have a separate thing. As I said, you can keep it as much as possible. As you grow bigger in bronchoscopy, you just have your own method of doing it. Because ultimately, the image has to be seen, one. Number two, you should be able to approach the image with your forceps. So, the suction channel and the instrument channel are separate. So, now what happens with the video bronchoscope, it has become a two-hand procedure. Olden days, it was a one-hand procedure only. Only one person. As I said, when we used to do the bronchoscopy, only one bronchoscopists will be there. There will be a staff nurse. There will be no PG, but there are no respiratory. There are not respiratory medicine PG those days. So one PG we used to have. That's all. Respiratory medicine. So he will be doing around with somebody else actually. So what happened? It was one procedure. Ikeda and all. I still remember when you seen him. He'll go inside, put the bronchoscope inside. He'll fix it. He'll go in the right Apollo. After putting in the right Apollo, he'll fix it. After fixing it, this bronchoscope, he was a left-hander. Ikeda was a left-hander. So he was using this as a dominant. He used to keep it like this and he used the forceps, he used the brush, he used everything through this itself actually. Nowadays it's not like that. You have a lot of post-graduates here. So it has become a three-hand procedure. Three-hand procedure, you have a staff nurse, you have a postgraduate to help you, or you have a very good assistant to help you, or an associate to help you. So the bronchoscope goes inside, put the forceps inside, somebody opens it, and you direct it and take a bite there. So it has now become a three-hand procedure for all practical purposes. It is a three hands procedure actually.